G'day and welcome to my garage. Right, before we go on too far, these two release cranks, they're not quite finished. So before I go back onto the steel transmission levers and whatnot, I'll go back to these release cranks. First off, the holes. In the drawing here, he has 3 holes. One of them is the centre hole for the bore, and then the other 2 are to bolt this to a faceplate, so this can be bored out. We've already done that, been through that process. What he doesn't show, but he does mention in his text a bit further on, is that there's another hole off to the side of this leg that needs to go in. These are supposed to be 5/16. I've made them quarter because I've got a heap of quarters and I couldn't see a disadvantage of making them quarter. If I need to make them 5/16 later on, then it's a small job to drill and re-tap. So this hole is not in the drawing, so that needs to go in. I put it in at the same time as I did all the other primary drillings, 1/8 drillings. I put this one in. Now, in the drawing, it has an arrow going to that middle position, and it says tap 5/16. So later on, I think he mentions the other hole at the end is 5/16 also, but remember at this present moment these 2 holes are to bolt it to the faceplate so you can machine it off and do the centre. But later on he shows that this top hole is going to be 3/8. It's not in the drawings, but it's in the text. And then in the text also he shows the end of the leg being ground off to a 1/2 inch radius so that it can clear, when it pivots, it can clear the top of the angle. Yep. And that's how he gets the over centre also. There's a pivot here, and then there's a bolt for adjustment here, and then if we're looking at that, can you see that? We're looking at that. It's bolted through this 3/8 hole here, here. This is the motor frame, we'll say. I know it isn't, but we'll presume this to be the motor frame. So when this lever is moved like that, the top edge has to clear the underside of the motor frame. The reason I'm pointing this out is some of these things are in the text, they're not in the drawings. So realise that these are 5/16 holes, all 3 of them, Then at the end, 4 of them, the one here in the middle, that comes out to, in my case, a 30 mil. These remain, those two remain, that's 5/16, and then this one goes out to 3/8 for the pivot bolt, and then radius off a 1/2 inch end. Alright, I'm off to file the 1/2 inch radius and take these holes out to, in my case, 10 metric 10 M10 3/8. Alright, catch you later. Alright, go and check that. I forgot to tighten the chuck. That should work better. Yes, I know this drill is running too slow, just can't be bothered to change the speed. There we go, doesn't take long. That's the one. Going to try my hand at power tapping, but I think we're going a bit too fast for it, but we'll see. the belts won't do it. I'll go and finish this off in the vise. Okay. I've noticed well, first thing what I've done is I've radiused the end off and drilled this hole out to an M10 for 3/8 M10. But the what's concerned me is that was supposed to be it's a half inch in. Although I did bring that in half inch. Yeah, 12.5 mil. Thereabouts. More 12 mil on that. That's 12.5. But a slight discrepancy here. You might not be able to see that. Try that. Can you see that? Where is it? If you see, that's 1 7/8 inches to the centre hole, and then 1 inch back to the end hole, which should leave 7/8 of an inch there. You have a look at this end. It's 3/8/16. That's the crank there, 2 holes. So it's mirror image of the other one we just saw. So the end hole is 3/8/16, half inch in. We're referring to the radius now, I suppose, and then he's got a half inch down for that radius. Well, that hole is 7/8 from the end, not a half inch. So that's a fair bit of difference. So 7/8, that's 1/8. 1/8. I might leave it to see how it clears with the transmission rail. If it doesn't, then it's an easy... Where are we? Come back again. Yeah, as I think I may have explained in the last vid, the transmission rail will come in something like that, and then this pivots. So depending on the position for that, which is half inch up, 1 inch in. Let's have a look quick. Let's have a look quickly. Half inch up, so that's 12.5 mil, 12.7 to be precise. 1 inch in is 25.4, going to be about there. So that's going about there. Not going to fit. It may. I don't think it will fit. Well, it's definitely not going to fit at an angle like that, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere near an angle like that. Currently it's going to go to about there, to about that angle. Now that's enough to loosen the belt off. So I'll see how it goes. If I don't like it, I can always trim the back end of that off, I think. Well, I can, but whether that's going to work with the rest of the build, I don't know yet. But we'll plod along as it is at the present moment. The other measurements are right, so we'll see how that goes. I feel, I reckon, start again. I find a discrepancy in this, in the book. Working on these these release cranks. The radius that is showing here, this radius here, is, well, it looks like he has it coming in at a ½ inch from this left edge. So from there, from that side, half inch in, and looks like a ½ inch down, which gave me a reference point of here. But having said that, okay, I'll go along with that for the present moment. But up here, this crank, the measurement for the middle hole, this one, is 1 7/8 down, and then the pivot hole, which is the one above it, is 1 inch up, which leaves 7/8. Now that's going to be, and this leg is 1 inch wide, so the hole is in the centre of the leg, and so that's ½ inch, which means this hole is in the middle of the leg, half inch, and 7/8 down from the end. But the radius that he wants is ½ inch by ½ inch. Well, we have a 3/8 of an inch difference, and if you see here, it looks like the radius is from the drilling position. So we have a 3/8 of an inch discrepancy in this part here. Now, this isn't the motor rail, but this is the material of the motor rail, and the pivot point for this bolt is ½ inch up from the bottom edge, and that slot is a ½ inch up from the bottom edge. And the motor rail, it's going to sit that way. So clearances we have not a problem, that will work, but once that pivots, this hole is no way going to line up with the hole in the motor rail. It looks like this has to be brought back to ½ inch. Brought back to about there somewhere. Now, that's all right it's easy enough to remove the material, but what I'll do for the moment is I'll leave it as is, and I'll make I'll continue on with the transmission, and when this goes to get fitted up to the motor rail, we'll see what happens. If it doesn't clear, we just chop it off. I don't think it's going to cause any problems to chop this off anyhow. I can't see any problems at the present moment. So we'll continue on, but we've got a discrepancy happening there. Pretty good. We're up to page 113, and I think I found one other discrepancy in his drawings. So we're doing well. Just need to be mindful of some of these things. Okay, that'll do for now. I've got some base material to use as a cold rivet for these hinge points. They're just 4-inch nails.